It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go.
Take a look in the 5 and 10,
Glistening once again,
with candy canes and silver lanes aglow.
it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Hey, well, it's hard to believe, but it's that time of year again. Time for Americans to start duking it out with one another about a holiday display on public property. Only this time, the fight is not about a gigantic nativity scene on a courthouse lawn or a massive menorah in a public park. No, this year's battle is about an atheist holiday display.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Back in late October, it was announced that Washington State's General Administration Department had approved permits for 2 holiday displays that were to be placed in the state capitol building in Olympia, Washington. A nativity scene sponsored by a local real estate agent, and a placard from the Washington chapter of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Additionally, it was announced that a Christmas tree, sponsored by a Washington State Business Association, would be placed in the rotunda of the Capitol building. The Seattle Times reports that a menorah will be placed there later in December. It seems no one paid much attention to any of this until the displays actually went up, and now the carrying on is in full swing. The atheist sign says, "At this season of the winter solstice, may reason prevail. There are no gods, no devils, no angels, no heaven or hell. There is only our natural world. Religion is but myth and superstition that hardens hearts and enslaves minds." Yet again, my Christmas card greeting has been stolen by someone before I could even get my cards out. In any case, the Seattle Times reports that there is a circus-like atmosphere at the Washington State Capitol, with protests, countersigns, thousands of emails and phone calls, and the rest. Representatives of the conservative Sanhedrin here in the United States, such as Bill O'Reilly and Laura Ingraham, have been waving the bloody shirt for several days now. Mr. O'Reilly called the atheist sign outrageous, a disgrace, and part of a larger attack on traditional beliefs in America. Ms. Ingram, appearing on Mr. O'Reilly's TV show, said, the placard was hateful and nasty, and she claimed its, quote, real goal is to intimidate Christians, unquote. Someone even stole the atheist placard, although it was later returned. What's going on here? Well, it seems to me that the primary problem is the way the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, specifically the amendment's Establishment Clause, has been interpreted by the United States Supreme Court. The court began addressing the constitutionality of Christmas and other religious holiday displays on public property back in 1984. And with all due respect to the justices, for the most part, the result has been a legal muddle with seemingly conflicting outcomes. If I had my druthers, the court would articulate a clear, crisp, bright-line rule. Namely, the Establishment Clause prohibits any Christmas or other religious holiday displays on government property in the United States. In the U.S., government is not supposed to be in the religion business at all. However, unless and until the court sets forth the sort of clear, crisp, bright-line rule that I've suggested, the federal, state, and local governments in this country are going to continue to waste time, money, and resources dealing with stupid battles about what sort of religious displays are and are not going to be allowed on government property during the holiday season. This sort of entanglement can easily be avoided by letting the Establishment Clause do its job. Instead of providing a clear, crisp, bright-line rule, what the Supreme Court has basically tried to do is craft a compromise. Now, in fairness to the court, it has been largely motivated by the understanding of what it means to be a secular nation. As the late Justice Harry Blackmun wrote in the 1989 Supreme Court decision, County of Allegheny versus American Civil Liberties Union, one of the leading decisions on religious holiday displays, quote, "A secular state, it must be remembered, is not the same as an atheistic or anti-religious state. A secular state establishes neither atheism nor religion as its official creed," unquote. With respect to religion, a secular nation is, in a word, neutral. And that's fine. I totally agree. Where the court and I part company is on what the results of this neutrality are. I believe neutrality demands the sort of clear, crisp, bright-line rule that I mentioned earlier. By contrast, the Supreme Court's view of neutrality results in what Justice Blackmun described in the County of Allegheny case as a, quote, spectrum of government references to religion. At one end of the spectrum are the impermissible governmental references to religion, and at the other end of the spectrum are the permissible ones, with various degrees of permissibility in between. Of course, this spectrum has resulted in the nation's courts and other arms of government expending time, money, and other resources trying to sort out the permissible references to religion from the impermissible ones, which has often yielded odd, logically tortured results. For example, while the Supreme Court has said that a nativity scene, quote, is no doubt capable of communicating a religious message, unquote, if it's part of a holiday display that prominently includes other non-religious, quote, objects of attention, for example, a Christmas tree, figures of Santa Claus, and other things, then the whole display, nativity scene and all, celebrates Christmas, quote, not in a way that endorses Christian doctrine. The display of menorahs on public property in celebration of Hanukkah gets a constitutional pass despite the fact that it's a purely religious symbol. The court readily concedes that it's a religious symbol. However, the court has argued that there are no, quote, reasonable alternatives that are less religious in nature. It's difficult to imagine a predominantly secular symbol of Hanukkah. A purely religious symbol is not a symbolic endorsement of religion because no one has come up with a less obviously religious symbol. That's just nuts. And it was written by a Supreme Court justice whose work I greatly respect. I say, put all these symbols off public property. The Christian symbols, the Jewish symbols, the atheist symbols, and whatever other religious and religion-related symbols people feel the need to erect on public property during the holidays. There's no shortage of private property in the United States. Quite the opposite. Put the nativity scenes, menorahs, atheist placards, and the rest on all that private property, firm in the conviction that government neutrality vis-a-vis religion means that government does not get into the religion business at any level, in any way, for or against. I should note in closing that under the law as it currently is, when the government decides to make public property available for these sorts of displays, it must do so in a content-neutral way. Contrary to the assessment of demagogic jerks like Bill O'Reilly, that means that the atheist placard could not be refused a place because of the content of its message, that is, because it communicates an atheist message. And that's quite true apart from, in fact, despite whether the atheist message offends anyone. First Amendment protects no one against being offended. Thanks a lot.